Hello and welcome to Final Final, your exclusive behind-the-scenes look at just what goes into running a modern media agency. I'm your host, Connor Aiden, and on today's special bonus episode, I thought it would be great to introduce you to our entire team. We'll spend a ton of time with them in future episodes, so I figured, why not meet them all? From producers to creative directors, graphic designers to social media specialists, get ready to meet all of them.
Hi, my name is Jared Kleinstein.
Alana Moritz,
Avalon Koenig, Gabby Akinsanya,
Brandon Messner,
AJ Oscarson,
Katie Nearing,
Drew Marsh, Dylan Lovett,
Charles Leanne,
BB Green, Audrey Alex,
Connor Aiden,
Reagan Alsa,
Jane Pryor,
David Herman.
Manny, come back here.
And we're back with Jared Kleinstein. Jared, what do you do at Fresh Tape Media?
Great question. I kind of do everything, but nothing at the exact same time. So I am expected to oversee all the different department heads, make sure everything is running smoothly, but hopefully not actually do any of their jobs. Everybody we've hired is significantly more talented and better at their jobs than I am. So whether it's finance, just making sure that the numbers look good at a high level, production, making sure that the stuff that's coming out is coming efficiently, and so on and so forth with every other team.
Yes, because of course you are the founder and CEO of Fresh Tape Media.
Yeah, I'm the CEO.
That's what you actually do.
That's what I see. I do CEO stuff.
What would you say though on like the day-to-day? I know it varies so much for you, but on the day-to-day, what do you kind of find yourself involved with?
Sure. So generally everything whole team, whether it's stand-ups, full-timers meetings, anything where we're all gathering, sort of taking a leadership role, overseeing how those things are going. A lot of one-on-ones with my department heads. I think I have 6 or 7 direct reports. So making sure that they're all getting what they need to do their jobs well. And otherwise, it's a combination of business development meetings and, to be honest, just reviewing stuff, whether it's budgets, contracts, a little bit of everything. And I'm also trying to do that for Gondola at the same time. So it's a lot of fun. It's easy.
Nice. And I have been asking everyone how long they've been at Fresh Tape. So I have to ask you, Jared, how long have you been at Fresh Tape?
I've been at Fresh Tape for 7 years.
Before it was even Fresh Tape, too.
Well, before it was Fresh Tape, when it was just a concept. Yes, I was at Fresh Tape back then. It was a great time.
Yeah, Fresh Tape was with you before you were even with Fresh Tape.
So true. At the time, it was, I think, Toco Media or some weird name that was a really bad idea. So happy it turned into Fresh
And
Tape.
after all these years, what keeps you around? What keeps you at Fresh Tape?
Every day is different. Oh, I didn't even mention that we do a lot of creative concepting and like coming up with ideas for our clients and for how to make our company better. So as a product of that, what keeps me here is knowing that every day is going to be different, that our company, despite offering a general service creatively to our clients, maybe doing something completely different next week or in 2 years or 10 years, but all in the same spirit of creating, cool shit for our clients. I am inspired by the team and inspired by the work. And the biggest thing that keeps me here is like just the question of, would you ever sell Fresh Tape, is like something people ask us. And I think to myself, like, if I sold it, I would just do the same thing all over again. I love what we do. I love the blank canvas to our work. And I can see us doing some iteration of this indefinitely for the rest of our lives.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sitting down with me. And we're back with Alana Moritz. Alana, what do you do at Fresh Tape?
Ooh, great question, Connor. I am the creative director here at Fresh Tape.
The creative director. What does that actually mean, though?
Creative director is basically the catch-all. It's a lot of quality assurance, quality management. I watch a lot of videos over and over again to make sure that everything is spelled right, looks good, no glitches. I also am in charge of most of the decks that you see, a lot of the copywriting involved on that front, as well as creative ideation. So coming up with some fun off-the-wall ideas with the help of the rest of the team.
Nice. And so day to day, where do you find yourself spending the most time or a majority of your time? Is it watching videos? Is it email?
Unfortunately, it's probably meetings, which is not the most conducive thing to creative ideation.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite place to spend a lot of time is Pinterest. Big Pinterest gal. I just invested, so hopefully they're on the up and up. And I do spend a lot of time in email. But
you also lead 2 whole teams.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ours being one of them.
Yes.
So we appreciate
I spend
that.
a lot of time in Slack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very
where I
true.
get all of my messages for where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing.
And I've been asking everybody how they heard about Fresh Tape. And since you're one of the OGs, I got to ask you as well. How'd you hear about Fresh Tape?
The first time that I heard about Fresh Tape Media, I was working at Team USA and I got a Google form from Jared that was asking what his production company should be called. And one of the options was Fresh Tape Media, which I
Nice.
voted for. So I'd like to think that I had a little to do with the name, but
Yeah.
probably
It-
not that much.
It works better than Toco or whatever it was going to be.
Toco, yes. Toronto, Colorado. Yeah.
Shout out Toco. Shout out Fresh Tape. Yes. And then you ended up, when did you join Fresh Tape after that? Like, how long after that?
I joined Fresh Tape a year after it was created. So I guess it would have been June 2018 and it was founded in 2017. So
Nice. And then after all that time, what keeps you around?
the people. The people keep me around. I feel like we've grown to such a unique and strong group of people that just are lovely to work with, always have your back, like some of the best creative ideas in the business. Yeah. And also the work. Like the people is also the clients. So thanks, clients, for also being awesome.
Yeah, making cool shit and bringing joy internally and to everyone else.
Yes.
Avalon Koenig. Avalon, how are you doing?
Good.
So, Avalon, what do you actually do at Fresh Tape?
Oh boy, what do I do? Well, I'm head of production, which is basically like a senior level producer that manages the production team. So I do producing, making things happen, making shoots happen, but then I also manage our production team, which is Reagan, Audrey, and Drew.
And what would you say that you normally find yourself doing? Like production it feels like such an everything word
Yes.
almost.
Honestly, most of it is emailing. Most of pre-production is email, and then obviously we use Asana. So any kind of like, you're just filling in the information you get in emails and you fill it in somewhere else. That's kind of what we're doing, and finding contractors, but again, through email. So you're just emailing them. So it's a lot of emails until the production comes. And then obviously production is like what you would think any production day would be: lights, camera, action, the whole thing. And then afterwards, you're probably managing post-production and also emailing for whatever is coming up next. So it's just a constant cycle.
Yeah, you seem to be our resident jet setter. You are always on a shoot somewhere. So,
It's true.
What percentage of your job do you feel like is on set in motion?
Well, we did a calculation of travel last year, and I think I had 18 trips, which is, so it's like roughly like once or twice a month. But last year we had a couple months that I traveled like every weekend. So there were some months that I had no travel, and then some months I was traveling 4 times, like every back to back. But I would say like at least once a month, I'm probably somewhere.
And taking it back a little bit, how did you even hear about Fresh Tape in the first place, and like what led you to come here?
The Twitterverse. Twitter, I remember, back, I guess it would be like 2018, 2017, 2018. All my favorite like people that made content, who were working at like South Carolina, Clemson, places like that were, I don't know how I found it, but like there was an Instagram called Fresh Tape Media, and they all were at the same event working under Fresh Tape Media. And I was like, what is that? That's strange. Like, how did they, I'm confused. What is this thing? And then I really didn't know what it was. Like I kept on seeing them at like CFP, like playoffs. And it was like the best of my favorite people then working together on a project, but they still worked at their other jobs. And I was like, I don't get it at all. Because Fresh Tape, it was very new. That's when it was like created. It was like 2017. So they didn't have a lot of information to like go to the website and be like, oh, it's a production company. It like wasn't even a production company yet. And then my favorite creator of all time, Max Huggins, was hired as creative director. And I was still like, for what though? I don't get what this is. It was still like unclear what Fresh Tape was. And then there was Jared, who I'd never heard of. And I was like, and I looked at his profile and he didn't make anything, but he was like connect it. So I was like, I'm still confused. And then another one of my like favorite creators, Andrew Stewart, recommended me to Jared for a shoot. And so I got a DM from Jared being like, do you want to work for Fresh Tape Media? And I actually have a video of when I got that. I was like freaking out because it was like, again, my favorite people. Like I was like, I don't know what this is, but if I get invited, that would be like dream. And so, yeah, he DM'd me and he was like, do you want to do this NASCAR thing? And I was like, yes. I had no idea. I remember I went, I had no contract, no nothing. Like, because it was like, they were all over the place. And that's when I met Alana and Max. And then after that trip, Jared was like, called me and was like, do you want to move to Denver? And I was like, yes.
Yeah, because you were employee, what, number 4? 3? Yeah,
it was Jared, Max, Alana, and me.
Dang, yes.
So and 4, including Jared.
Was this after they had moved into the first office?
It was literally that. It had been that month. Like when they were talking to me, they hadn't. And like then I got hired. And then I realized they didn't have an office by seeing that they got an office like a week after. I hadn't moved yet. And so when I got here, like they had the office for like 2 weeks.
Dang.
And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. God. That wasn't, I was like, I would have maybe thought about that if I knew what I I didn't really know much, but I knew that I really liked Jared, Alana, and Max. And I was like, yeah.
Well, as the years have like kind of gone on, like what have you liked most about Fresh Tape? Like what keeps you around, keeps you grooving?
Good question. I think the thing that I say most is like that it's let me grow into whatever I've wanted to be. Like it's not I think, if you're thinking of like a bigger company or like a school even, they're just very set in their ways and there's only so many things you can be or do. And with Fresh Tape, I mean, I started as like all I was doing, I was traveling the same amount, but I was doing the filming, the editing. I mean, I was like the go-to like shooter and editor. And once I found that I didn't want to do that as much, like I was able to move into like, I didn't even know what a producer was. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I was producing things. And then I became a producer. I was like, oh, I really like this. Like, oh, I really like this. And so I've been able to grow into what I wanted to do most. And in all realms too. That's just like with my career path, but also in like the kinds of stuff we do, the clients we have, like the kinds of shoots we want to do. Like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. We want to do this. Like pitch it and then don't pitch the other things. And then we could do it, So it's like always kind of sky's the limit because we're like a startup, and like a small company, especially when I was there, it was like, as long as it works for the numbers, as long as we're making new business and you're good at it, then go for it.
Well,
yeah,
we're happy to have you.
Yeah, happy
I
to
say
be
as
here.
being like one of the newest people here. So I'm using the royal we. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. And we're back with Gabby Akinsanya. Gabby, what do you do here at Fresh Tape?
Hi, Connor. I'm the head of business development at Fresh Tape Media. So pretty much that just means making sure we have money in the bank. We're selling to our clients. Our clients are happy. The retention is staying up and new clients are coming in and just brand exposure in general. So just making sure Fresh Tape is looked at in the best of lights.
Nice. And then so like day to day, what does that kind of look like for you?
So day to day, it's really looking ahead. So with business development, I have to kind of, especially in the sports world, since it is pretty cyclical and it runs on these, schedules where we know when all these major events are happening, I kind of look ahead 2 to 3 months out, say, okay, I see that this event's coming up. I start thinking about what are the brands that are going to be active at that event, not just who's hosting the event. And I try to reach out and see if there's anything we can do to help them and to make them look good. And once I connect with those companies, I kind of give them an overview of Fresh Tape and say, hey, this is what we do. Here are the people I would love to connect you with at our company and, hope that it aligns and they take a risk on us and we make beautiful content for them.
And how long have you been at Fresh Tape at this point?
So I've been at Fresh Tape since July of 2019.
Dang.
So 4.5 years now.
Sick. And then thinking back to then, how did you even hear about it in the first place?
So my history with Fresh Tape runs deep. So I met Jared way back in the day when I was working for Major League Soccer in New York City. So back in 2015, he was the head of sports partnerships at Vine, and MLS was one of Vine's clients. And so we did a lot of collaborations with them. And so I knew Jared from back in the day. And then when he moved to Colorado to start this company, I kind of followed that journey a little bit. But I had also come back to Colorado to work for the Colorado Rapids. And my coworker, Dylan Gannon, he actually kept in really good touch with Jared. And so he had stopped by the office one day, and I guess Jared name dropped me and said, "Hey, you work with Gabby, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, I do." And he asked, "Hey, we're looking for a head of operations. Do you think she'd be good at that? And do you think she'd be interested in working here?" And he was like, "Well, I don't know. Let me go talk to her." And so he came back to me, and I was like, "Heck yeah, sign me up. I love Jared, and I love what Freshtape was building at the time." And so hopped on board.
Yeah, and 4.5 years later, what's keeping you around? What do you like about Freshtape?
Ooh, everything.
Yeah.
I always tell Jared that he has to hire a hitman to get me to leave his company. So
Yeah.
I truly love so much about Freshtape. It's the people we work with are amazing. I mean, I told you this before, but we spend so much time with our coworkers. So you really have to love them. We spend more time with them than our family and friends. And so it's being inspired by the people we're surrounded with all the time, and not just our coworkers, but our clients too. I genuinely love the content that people are creating. I love the way the business is going and getting to be a part of that, and all these major events that, I dreamt about working for a sports company when I was in middle school and high school, and the things that we get to do on a day-to-day basis, even, 4.5 years later, is like a pinch me moment to me every single day. So
Dang.
yeah.
Well, we are so happy to have you here.
Thanks.
And we're back with Brandon Messner. Brandon, what do you do at Freshtape?
I'm the art director.
And what does it mean to be the art director?
I oversee a team that specializes and conducts all of our graphic design related projects, as well as some animation.
And of course, you're not giving yourself enough credit because you also do a ton of design and animation yourself.
Yes, yeah, I do. We all pitch in. Some things require more hands than others. So
Yeah. Brandon, our humble king. But yeah, so what does your day-to-day actually tend to look like being the art director?
Being the art director, a decent amount of it is reviewing deliverables before they go to clients, just making sure that we don't send stuff that has typos in it or obvious errors, but also kind of crafting things and just kind of giving notes to make sure that anything that's graphic design or animation is looking the best it can, given the resources and budget. I do some budgeting to be sure that projects that are coming in the door are priced properly. I work on things myself occasionally. I spend time in After Effects, Photoshop, and Illustrator making stuff. Sometimes I'm working on processes. We're not an ancient company, so there's always areas where our processes can be improved, producing graphics.
Take us back a little bit. How did you even hear about Freshtape to begin with?
I moved to Denver in 2019, and at that time in my life, I was like, I want to move to Denver, and then I want to get a job doing graphics. And I heard about Freshtape, and I was like, oh, that'd be a great place to do graphics.
Nice. And yeah, you were what, employee hire number 5?
6.
6.
Jared. Well, do you count Jared?
I don't know.
If you don't count Jared, I'm 5.
Did he hire himself? I don't know.
Jared hired himself. Then he hired Max. Then he hired Alana. Then he hired Avalon. Then he hired Gabby. Then he hired me.
Nice.
And there's people in between. But
and didn't you
details?
You started as something else, right?
Yeah.
Or you were hired as a freelancer or something?
Yeah. In these, I started freelancing. That was my toe dip. It wasn't, I wasn't just hired. It was like, oh, hey, we'll have you on for some freelance projects. I was like, all right, cool. And so I did some stuff, and then they started to realize that, the graphics demands that they just kind of organically had probably required a full-time person, and nobody at the time was really dedicated to it. So the opportunity that I was offered was, hey, be our graphics specialist on the team, represent that aspect of things. And I was like, cool, that sounds great. It's it was more or less my first full-time job. So it was interesting to kind of, start on one where it's you're the guy, and it's not you're not reporting to the guy. You
are the guy.
Yeah.
And we're back with AJ Oscarson. AJ, what do you do at Freshtape Media?
I manage all of our original creative content, usually long form documentaries. features and series. And then I'm also our in-house director of photography.
Nice. Let's start with the DP. What does that kind of like actually look like on the day to day? If you describe the DP job.
Yeah, day to day, it's mostly building light models, securing rentals. It's a lot of consulting with what is the space we have to shoot, what is the available light, and what is the look we're trying to achieve. And my job is to achieve a specific look to match the project for the client.
Nice. And then when it comes to originals, I know you're spearheading that. What are you kind of doing on that front?
So that a lot of those are on NDAs.
Yeah.
But largely we're in the process of filming 2 long form projects. And those are verite style documentaries. So it's mostly me following subjects and participants, doing interviews on the fly, and then coming back, dealing with massive amounts of data, and then writing. And the writing process for documentaries is cutting transcripts, pulling sound bites, and then hobbling them together, and then kind of crafting the story.
Nice. What, at the end of the day, keeps you here?
What keeps me here? I told Jared that when I came to this company, what I was looking for were other creatives that could provide the kind of support and feedback I needed. I'd always done long form documentaries or documentaries in some fashion, and documentary is almost impossible to do solo. I used to be a writer, and I can do that by myself all day, just writing in my kitchen. Documentaries, you need producers, you need feedback, you need somebody who hasn't spent, 1,000 hours with a subject to get some air between the story and yourself. And I told him that's what I was looking for. And I met Alana and Avalon and a lot of the other folks here. And what keeps me here is like being able to work with them, because I think that's how we can get our stories to where they need to get to.
Nice. Perfect. That's all we needed from you.
Great.
And we're back with Katie Nearing. Katie, welcome to the show.
Hi.
And what is it that you do at Fresh Tape, Katie?
I am a motion graphics designer.
Awesome. And what does that actually mean in real life?
Basically, I design pictures and then I make them move in After Effects. So a lot of like on and off animations and stuff like that.
Nice. And what would you kind of say your typical day-to-day looks like as a result?
People coming up to me being like, hey, I need this graphic today. And then I make the graphic. And then if it needs to be animated, I animate it.
What are you primarily living in Adobe programs or?
Yes, I'm in Photoshop all the time. And I'm in After Effects like every day.
Nice. And what is it about motion that particularly draws you to being motion graphic designer?
I was in love with music video transitions. And I was like, I really want to do that. And like all the transitions and like video effects, all that stuff. And that's kind of how I ended up into motion design.
Because I think you started as an intern, right? So what was that whole process kind of like?
Yeah, so I applied as a motion graphics intern and I was here for about 3-4 months and they gave me a full-time offer and now I'm full-time.
And when was this?
It was June 2022.
Sick.
Yeah, June 1st.
So it's been a little over a year then?
Yeah, it's gonna be 2 years this year. It's gonna be crazy.
Dang.
It's insane.
Well, we are so happy to have you. And what is it that keeps you at Fresh Tape? What do you like about it?
I like that I can just talk to everyone and like I'm friends with everyone and we're just vibing. We watch Bluey sometimes for lunch. And I force AJ to watch Bluey and just like being able to wear what I want and bring my cat in if I want to. It's awesome.
Katie is a huge Bluey advocate.
I watch Bluey all the time.
Bluey ambassador.
Yes. I am going to go to Chicago to see the Bluey. Like you can go inside Bluey's house and all the playgrounds and stuff.
Dang. Well, maybe Bluey can be our unofficial graphics department mascot.
Yes, has to be.
And now we're back with Drew Marsh. Drew Marsh, what do you do at Fresh Tape?
Man, at Fresh Tape, I'm a producer.
Okay, what does that actually mean though? Because I feel like producer, it's so vague.
It is so vague, and it entails a lot of different things. But pretty much overseeing the shoots, the concepts, the production itself, all the way from pre-production to post-production.
And then as far as like your actual day-to-day, where do you find yourself most often doing? Or what do you find yourself most often doing?
Well, what's special about working here is every day is the same, but all the work that we do is so different because we're working with so many different clients, so many super cool clients that do totally different things. So while the process is maybe the same, we get to get creative pretty much every day. It's something new.
And you also seem to find yourself on location quite often, right?
Yes, a lot of travel, but it's a lot of fun. Get to go to a lot of cool places.
Awesome. And how did you even hear about Fresh Tape in the first place? What drew you here?
I heard about Fresh Tape through a friend of mine, David Herman, who was at Twitter at the time, and him and Jared have a history, and Twitter was a big client of Fresh Tapes early on. So as I kind of grew as a creator, videographer, editor throughout college, I got in touch with Jared, met with him a few times, got to see a lot of the cool stuff they've done, both in person and online, and have been a fan ever since I've heard of them. And I'm just so grateful to be here and be a part of it.
And then now that you've been here for a bit, like what keeps you here? What do you like about Fresh Tape?
It sounds cheesy, but it really is the people. At Fresh Tape, there are no egos. We get to do some of the coolest work I've ever been a part of with some of the coolest and greatest people. There's so many different dynamics between the people that we have on board, the clients we work with, and it's just a lot of fun to be a part of it.
And we're back with Dylan Lovett. Dylan, what do you do at Fresh Tape?
I am the people operations lead at Fresh Tape Media.
And what does that like actually mean though?
So I am responsible for making sure that everybody is happy and everybody has a purpose within the organization and that we're maximizing all of our human capital and abilities.
Nice. And so like on the day-to-day, what does that kind of look like for you?
That looks like a combination of doing day-to-day tasks and also some longer form projects in terms of how we propel the company forward.
And how did you even hear about Fresh Tape in the first place?
I met Jared Kleinstein on the chairlift at Vail.
Really?
And, yeah. I sat next to his childhood caretaker, Betsy, and I talked to her for a while. And she said, "You should meet this guy on the chair behind me. I used to babysit him." And
oh my gosh, I did not know that.
That guy was Jared Kleinstein, and I followed Jared on LinkedIn for a couple of years, and I was laid off amidst the tech layoffs and saw that he had posted a job for an executive assistant, and I was like, this guy's got some pretty cool companies. I could learn a lot. So
damn, on the chairlift.
Yeah, it's one of those destiny kind of things, and we've been going strong for 14, 15 months now. It's great.
Shit. Well, we are so happy to have you, of course. What is it about Fresh Tape that you've liked so far? Like, what keeps you around?
What keeps me around is the openness and honesty. I think we've reached a really great level of communication amongst one another. I'm not aware of a single interpersonal serious company beef.
Yeah.
And I think that that's rare. I've worked in some workplaces, whether it's a restaurant early in my career or even later, that the conflicts and sort of gossiping and there's always some sort of toxic energy. I don't feel that here. And that's not just something that I'm saying to sound good.
And now we're with Charles Leanne. Charles, what do you do for Fresh Tape?
Hi, Connor.
Hi.
I am the head of finance and operations at Fresh Tape.
Okay, Charles, I know that, but what does that actually mean?
That's a good question. It's a lot of different things. Most of my day, I'm just reviewing financials for the company, trying to figure out, how much money we're making, how much we're spending, how much we have to spend. I oversee Phoebe on a lot of the more like day-to-day operational aspects of the company, which I know I just said a lot of things that don't mean anything. But really what I like to describe it is like my job is to support the rest of the production, creative, and social teams and just kind of like put them in the best position to succeed. So like anything I can do to like make your lives more efficient or easier, that's kind of like how I see what I do in a nutshell.
Nice. And what would you say, like, percentage wise, like, where are you spending most of your time though?
I mean, most of my time is looking at numbers for the company. And that's probably like a solid like 70-75% of my day. But the rest of it, it's like, you know, I think my days just like they can change so much depending on the kind of like what gets needed and when. And so I think those are probably some of the more interesting parts. Just because it's like no days like really the same. And then like people are just like, oh, like we need this, or we need you to look at this, or like what can we do about this? And like those are sort of like the other 25% where it's just like problem solving. And then that's like the most fun part, I think.
That's the great part about Fresh Tape is you get to always try something new.
Yeah, totally.
And what keeps you around? What do you like about Fresh Tape?
I talked a little bit about the day, but I also think like what I found out really quickly is the people at Fresh Tape. I think, you know, like especially coming out of like a few years of COVID where people were working remotely, you didn't really get to know your coworkers as much. I thought it was really cool to kind of be in an office environment with like just a bunch of people who are super passionate about their jobs, super genuine, and just also like really good at what they do. And I feel like that is pretty motivating. And I think like that honestly for me is like when I'm around motivated people, people who like what they do and are like serious and like care about like doing good work, I think that helps bring me to another level. And at the end of the day, like I think that's kind of like what I'm here to do, and I feel like that's what everyone else is here to do as well.
And we're back with Phoebe Green. Phoebe, what is it that you do at Fresh Tape?
I am Fresh Tape's ops associate.
And what does that actually mean?
So everything that everybody else does is very process focused, and I help to make sure that all of the processes are as effective and efficient as possible, and that any improvements that need to be made, whether it be to production, social, finance, biz dev, I try to make sure that I'm supporting them and helping them use all of the tools that we have as best as possible.
I love it. Well, I benefit from it, so thank you so much.
Oh, of course.
But so what would you say like day to day that like actually kind of looks like? Like what are you doing?
Yeah. So I help a lot to make sure that from a project by project base, like I help with budgets, making sure that budgets are good. I help with contracts, like making sure that everything is written and documented and signed off on, making sure that everything's organized, helping to get invoices paid. I kind of also serve as our accounts payable and accounts receivable departments. Really just doing a lot of the stuff that makes the business run.
What have you so far liked about Fresh Tape? Like what's keeping you around? What do you like about it?
I love the work that I do. The work that I do feels really satisfying. And I also love the people that I do it with. And I think that I feel very seen and understood, and like I can be myself, and like I can allow others to be themselves too.
Audrey, what do you do at Fresh Tape?
I am a production designer. So this is a really cool position for me because I am the bridge between the production team and the design team.
Nice.
So I get to work with fabricators and communicate and manage them to kind of fulfill our dreams when it comes to anything set related. I make a lot of props. I get a design, I get a 3D model, and yeah, I collaborate with both teams and have a very holistic picture of what Fresh Tape does.
Nice. I love it. Your tagline should be Audrey Dream Fulfiller.
Yeah, exactly.
So as far as like your average day to day though, what does that kind of look at? You mentioned some few things, but like how do you roughly divide your time?
Yeah, so I do a lot of like sourcing furniture for smaller sets. So, you know, chairs, side tables, seamless, whatever that may be. But I also get to 3D model for some larger set builds. So I get to kind of design and model things in SketchUp and use a rendering software to render that and then throw it into Photoshop and make it look all pretty. That's probably my favorite part of my job. other than that, I do a lot of credit card coding because I end up buying so much stuff on Amazon and other websites to kind of make our sets look awesome with fun props and all that good stuff.
Yeah. And how did you even hear about Fresh Tape in the first place?
It's kind of a weird story. I was unemployed and doing a little bit of freelance work, and I got an Indeed notification, and it said like production associate, production assistant. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a PA, but I think it was a production associate. And I applied, and I like knew I was not qualified at all, but I was like, I can make it work. Like I was confident enough. And then I had several interviews with Fresh Tape, and like the more I learned, I was like, I'm not qualified for this. But then at the second interview, they kind of changed what they were talking to me about, and they're like, well, we actually have a new position that we're thinking of for you. And I'm like, okay, great, like that's so much better, and it fit. Obviously I've kind of the first in this role at Fresh Tape, and so it really was an easy transition from what I was doing previously to now.
Yeah. And at this point, how long have you been here?
Oh, is it like 8 months now? Like 6, 8, something?
I don't know.
No, I think it's like 7 maybe.
Fun fact, we started on the same day.
Yeah, true. And we wore the same shirt.
And we wore the same outfit. And yeah, I was similar. There like hadn't been a position for me in the past, and I was hired into a brand new role. But that's so cool. We're like forever.
I know. It's like the special
twins.
Bond.
I know. We get to do our yearly review together.
On the same time. We'll be in there together.
What have you liked most about Fresh Tape so far?
I have really enjoyed working with, well, obviously such a creative team, but I have previously only worked with a very female team, and I very much appreciate kind of the different mindset that other perspectives, whether it's male or just like different creatives and different genres of creativity. And I think that has been my favorite part in like just learning so many different new things from different people and different backgrounds.
So Connor, what do you do at Fresh Tape?
What do I do at Fresh Tape? I am the social content creator. So basically what that means is I make a ton of the social posts that go on our own internal branded stuff, like our Instagram. I make this podcast as well. And I also help production sometimes with some more like social focused stuff.
Cool. How did you hear about Fresh Tape?
I heard about Fresh Tape. I didn't know Jared, unlike everyone else. I literally just found it when I was looking up Denver agencies because my partner and I decided we wanted to move to Colorado because we thought it would be fun and cool. We were living in Kentucky at the time, which is the opposite of fun and cool. And she is a school teacher, and she got her job in like 2 weeks. We were like, we're going to start our job search. She got it immediately. And I'm like, oh shit, I got to like get a job. So I was looking all around trying to find cool, like production-y, but like social media stuff. And then I found Fresh Tape, and I sent an email out, and no one got back to me. And then I sent another email out, and I was like, hey, did you guys get my application? And then Jared found it and sent it to my boss at the time. And I'm convinced that's how I got an interview. I think it's just because that her boss said, it's like, hey, you got to interview this guy.
Yeah.
And then I showed up.
And it worked. It worked out so nicely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. What do you like the most about Fresh Tape?
For me, it's a few things. One is definitely the work that we create. I love the kind of caliber of clients that we work with. And I love the freedom that my job gives me. I get to kind of shape it in the ways I see fit. I really came in and I wanted to show off not only the awesome work that Fresh Tape does, but the people behind it, because my whole philosophy is that the company is just the people that make it up. And I wanted to show off all the badasses in the production department, but even in like all of our other departments. And so I just love being able to make what I want to make in the kind of bounds. And then, of course, as everyone has said, the people are amazing here. And we're back with Reagan Alsup. Reagan, what do you do at Fresh Tape?
I am Fresh Tape's senior producer.
And what does that like actually mean?
So, senior producer with Fresh Tape can mean a lot of different things, but basically, I am helping to oversee different projects pretty much from start to finish. So, working with clients on creative ideation, trying to nail down what their vision is, what we're trying to accomplish, attaching budgets to that, sourcing crew and locking them in for the various needs of the project, figuring out what set needs we have and working with Audrey, our set designer, our production designer on all of that. And then making sure that shoots actually go according to plan and overseeing kind of post-production all the way through to final delivery.
Gotcha. So speaking of that, what does like your kind of day-to-day look like as a senior producer?
Wow. The day-to-day, it is impossible to answer that question because every day looks very different. Some days I'm doing a lot of pre-production work, working with clients, reaching out to clients to see what their needs are and helping them kind of work through that and figuring out what our next projects are. Some days I'm on set, which are always super fun days, getting to travel, getting to meet new people. Some days it's a lot of overseeing post-production and watching different edits and stuff like that. Most days are some combination of all of that. So most days it's sort of balancing, we can have 5, 6, 7, 8 projects going on at once, all in different stages of production. And so kind of balancing all of the various needs of all those projects.
Awesome. And what have you, since you've been here, kind of liked most about Fresh Tape? What keeps you around?
Yeah, I think for me, the best part of Fresh Tape since I've joined has just been the people. And I love our entire staff. Like everybody is so creative. Everybody is so motivated. People have a lot of pride in their work. And I just feel motivated and inspired every day when I come into the office. So, yeah.
And we're back with Jane Pryor. Jane, what do you do at Fresh Tape?
I am the social media manager here.
Social media manager. So one, you are my boss, but what does that mean in real life? What does a social media manager do?
It means keeping up with the trends on social media, trying to understand the ever-changing landscape, and refining our social media strategy based on what we're seeing.
And wrangling Ashley and I.
Of course.
Yeah. So what would you say your day-to-day looks like, though? Because I know you have your hands in like a lot of things and you're kind of bouncing around a lot. But what would you say you do?
Day-to-day is a lot of making sure our content is on track to go out when it is supposed to go out, monitoring how our posts are performing. So kind of hanging out on the analytical back end side of things. And then a lot of community engagement, trying to build excitement around our brand, interacting with other creators and client accounts on different social media platforms.
And now that you've been here for a little bit, what kind of keeps you around? What do you like about Fresh Tape?
I love the energy of the office. I think this is a place where people are pretty stoked to come in, and for good reason. Everyone is super high energy and positive around the office, and it's just a good dynamic here. But at the same time, pretty relaxed and casual vibes.
And last but certainly not least, we have Fresh Tape's newest hire, General Manager David Herman. David, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Connor. How are you?
I am doing fabulous. David, what is a general manager?
What is a general manager? It's a great question, Connor. General manager, at least the way I'm thinking about it, is someone who is overseeing a lot of the day-to-day operations of what we're doing here, but also looking ahead to the future. It's both sort of a focus on the right now and also what we're doing to stay ahead of the game, what we're doing new, and how we're going to continue to succeed in the industry, but also make everyone super happy who's here and have a great time doing it.
Nice. So what does that look like on the day-to-day?
Yeah, I think I'm still trying to figure that out a little bit myself. Day 3 here. But day-to-day, we'll be heavily involved in all of our client work, looking into our finances and our strategy and goal setting, all of our processes, everything from soup to nuts of how we operate day-to-day eventually will be something I take a look at. I think in the short term, it's just getting up to speed, learning how, what everyone's roles are, what everyone's working on, how we can be supportive of the work that's already going on. And then we'll slowly chip away at how to make things, better and improve upon them.
And I have been asking everyone what keeps them around, but since you're here on your third day, I would love to ask you, what do you hope to bring to Fresh Tape?
Yeah, I hope to bring a new set of eyes from, the outside perspective, if you will, someone who used to be a client, and bring a little bit of different things I've learned from across the industry, both related to production, but also on the business side of sports and sports media and entertainment, as we look, to not expand, but continue our work outside of just sports, and everything in between.
Nice. Thank you so much for coming on, David. Of course. And of course, as we say at the end of every episode,
keep it classy.
That's a wrap. Bubble to your bus.
That's the way you go to school.
I forgot my line.
That's showbiz, baby.
Hooray!
Have a day.
When in doubt, cut it out.
Send it.
Yep. Go team.
Don't forget to brush your teeth.
How now, brown cow?
Keep it cool, cats.
Make it happen, Captain.